2021 at 5:30 p.m. At this time, we'll have the invocation by Lynn Haven resident and a pastor of First Baptist Lynn Haven, Pastor Grady Booth.
Let us pray. Gracious Heavenly Father, we come to you humbly this evening and ask for your guidance and direction and your oversight with our leaders in the community as they forge forward to make decisions. We ask for a spirit of unity, and Lord, that they would be able to work together with the problems and issues and exciting times that are ahead for our community, Lord. So also ask for your blessing on them and their leadership roles. And we thank you, and we will give you the glory for all that you do. In Jesus' name, amen. Would you join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pastor Booth. This time we will have our public commentary. Remember to address your comments to the chair and to adhere to the 3-minute bell. If you ask questions during your time of commentary, if we're able to respond to those questions in this session, we would do so during our reports. Public commentary.
Jody Moore at Amherst Street. I just want to address something that happened at the last meeting. Someone of this commission apparently said Richard Walker was not telling the truth about some of his statements. We can't see the video because while visual was running, there is no audio on the tape. I have known Mr. Walker for more than 10 years. He might be mistaken about some things, as we all are. No one's perfect. But this man is not a liar. He has served this country honorably. He was in the Navy, and he was also in civil service for most of his working life. Another issue is one that I just brought up. There have been instances of a lack of video at commission meetings recently. People at home depend on being able to watch these videos. So tech support really needs to fix this, and I've already talked about this issue. I messaged the city of Lynn Haven about it, and they said that they would address it. I am my little phone. We don't seem to have these problems, which is why I have it on here today. I really don't want to have to come and live stream. So, and like I said, this happened about 3 times already, and I know things are going to happen, but I really think that needs to be addressed. Like I said, people at home really know want to know what's going to happen when they're watching, and it's kind of frustrating when you have about 15 minutes of video and you can't hear anything. I mean, I never trained to do this kind of thing, so like I said, I just show up with my little phone and start taping things. There's the clock. I want to address one more thing too. Months ago, there was a lady who came and she said that she was going to have a hard time getting to meetings because if we had afternoon meetings like we do now, and now that it's getting dark earlier, I think she actually lives in the Hammocks neighborhood, so I haven't seen her at a meeting since. So I would like to know if she does need a ride, especially when the time changes, I'd be happy to give her a ride. So if anybody knows that lady and her name, let her know that I would be happy to swing by and go pick her up. So thank you.
Thank you. Public commentary.
Hey, Johnny Bashirs, 811 Louisiana. I would just like to thank you for moving the time clock up here where the speaker can see it while we're speaking. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Christy McElroy, Port St. Joe. I haven't been here in a while, and one of the last times I was here, I talked about raw sewage spills. DEP sent me a report and was kind enough to send me an Excel spreadsheet of all the spills that Lynn Haven has had in the last year. Sorry about that. Here's the spreadsheet. I'm going to leave it with Commissioner Tender. There's 96 spills. That is something y'all need to address. I think you have over 70 lift stations, and you have 4 people that are responsible for managing those lift stations. That is not enough people to be doing weekly maintenance and taking care of those lift stations. So that's one item. know because, as I said, DEP was kind enough to create the report for me out of Pensacola. The next item that I'd like to get to is concerning the last mayor's race. I've pulled all Mr. Nelson's, Mayor Nelson's reports, and I am concerned about a couple of things. And as was stated before, people can make mistakes. But I've as well given Commissioner Warwick and Commissioner Tender copies of this. What I see is, Mayor, you reimbursed yourself $2,539.75, and you reimbursed your wife $1,176. I was only able to see one loan that you made to yourself for $900. I've talked a little bit about Arthur Cullen. I don't think he's a very good influence. He's had his own things. I don't think he helps candidates run clean campaigns. That's my opinion. And this is some photos of you, Mayor, with some county commissioners and I believe the tax superintendent or whatever, and Arthur Cullen. I don't know if you're still taking advice from him. It's very perplexing to me. The last thing, and again, you've made reference that people haven't told the truth about you. I have also before me your bankruptcy claims. And that's something I think you need to address at some point. And I'll be back again.
Thank you.
I can assure you.
Public commentary.
Good afternoon. I am Dr. Jadia Green-Jones. I'm here because I received a citation for our property at 1301 Louisiana Avenue. I want to first thank Ms. Gaynor, Mayor Nelson, for all their help thus far. But in the process of the discovery and investigation of this notice, we don't have ditches on Louisiana, nor do we have a fire hydrant that was promised at the corner of 13th Street and Louisiana Avenue. That is of concern to me because I'm looking to build a house there, and for the purposes of insurance, there's no fire hydrant between either of the main streets on Louisiana. I'm concerned because there are 3 houses already on the 1300 block, 4 more going in. Mine would make the 5th new home. So, part of this citation was about grass being cut, but we couldn't even get to the property because it was flooded because no drainage until like last week or so. I understand a complaint was called in, and I'm also concerned about that. Going forward, I just hope that the city will work with us and that the neighbor's complaint not turn into harassment. We are going to take care of the situation. We are aware of what's our property now and what's not, what's right away, what's not, but I really want the fire hydrant issue addressed, and we want ditches so that we can have drainage over there. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else for public commentary? All right. If not, we'll move on to the mayor's report. We'd like to read a proclamation for the Lights On After School. Whereas the Florida After School Network, FAN, and citizens of Lynn Haven are firmly committed to quality after-school programs and opportunities, and whereas after-school programs provide safe, challenging, and engaging learning experiences that help children develop social, emotional, physical, and academic skills, and whereas after-school programs support working families by ensuring their children are safe and productive after the regular school day ends, and whereas after-school programs build stronger communities by involving students, parents, business leaders, and adult volunteers in the lives of young people, thereby promoting positive relationships among youth, families, and adults. And whereas after-school programs engage families, schools, and community partners in advancing the welfare of our children, and whereas Florida After School Network and the city's after-school programs have provided significant leadership through the pandemic to keep kids engaged in learning, especially those who need extra support to catch up and accelerate their learning, and whereas Lights On After School, the national celebration of after-school programs held this year on October 28, 2021, promotes the importance of quality after-school programs in the lives of children, families, and communities. And whereas approximately 1.5 million children and youth in Florida are waiting right now for a spot in an after-school program, many of whom have no place to go after school. And whereas many after-school programs across the state are facing funding and staffing shortfalls so severe that they are being forced to close their doors and turn off their lights. And whereas the city is committed to investing in the health and safety of all young people by providing expanded learning opportunities that will help close the achievement gap and prepare young people to compete in the global economy. Now, therefore, by the virtue and authority vested in me as the mayor of the city of Lynn Haven, on behalf of the city commission and all citizens of Lynn Haven, I do hereby declare October 28, 2021 as Lights On After School Day and encourage our city to invest and engage in proven after-school programs and activities that ensure the lights stay on and doors stay open for all children after school. In witness whereof, I do hereby set in my hand and cause the seal of the city of Lynn Haven to be affixed this 26th day of October 2021. On Sunday evening, I went to Target to pick up a book for my son and some kind of hair stuff for my daughter. And so it was a little bit after 9 o'clock, and so I was headed home. And I got to the intersection of 77 and Baldwin, and it was cut off by the police officers. Lights were flashing, and they directed me to take a right or go north on Baldwin. So I did, got home. Didn't really know what was going on. I'm assuming there was some type of accident or something like that. And then once I got home, started getting text messages. City manager started updating us on what was happening and what was going on. And so my wife and I, she asked me what was going on. I said, I'm really not sure. So I went to sleep. Next morning, woke up. My daughter goes to school. And she texts me and she says, hey, you know that accident last night? That was one of my students at school. And so she's a freshman at Mosley High School. And the young man that died is one of her seniors there. She's on the color guard, and so they help cheer, or she's really a manager for the color guard, and so they help cheer for the football team during the games as well. You think they actually have pom-poms, which is weird. The color guard managers, they have pom-poms. One guy actually thought they were cheerleaders when he came to speak at the school. And they would cheer for number 44, is what they would do. And so, though his family is not necessarily residents of Lynn Haven, Mosley is a part of our community, and we're a commission that, a city that loves our school, Mosley High School, and all the students that are there. So I just encourage all of us to continue to have our thoughts, and for those who pray, your prayers directed towards the Sanders family, the friends of their family, as well as all the students, faculty, and staff of Mosley High School, and all of those that have been impacted by this tragic loss. And also let's pray for our department here as they continue to try to resolve the questions that are being asked in regards to that accident. And so again, just encourage you to have your thoughts and prayers directed to the Sanders family during this time. So I want to give you a little update on some of the things we've been able to do, or things we participated in over the past couple of weeks. So I got a chance to go and flex some muscle over at Fire Station 1. Had to push the new ladder truck in, and so that was a great ceremony. Great to see a new truck in action, and also great to see the Bay County community come out and support our endeavors here as the fire department. So it was really exciting to see chiefs and captains and from other departments throughout the county. And so that was real exciting, just a great turnout. Thank you to the commissioners and staff that were able to come out and support that as well. Followed that up with the coin toss at Mosley, and so we had a chance to go to Mosley's homecoming as commissioners and city staff, and city manager was there, chief was there, Sheriff Ford was there, and so we had a chance to go out and do the coin toss, and had the winning coin toss. Mosley won their homecoming game, and so that was real exciting. So I had a chance to go to a couple of homecomings. Went to North Bay's homecoming, and I also had a chance to go to Mosley's homecoming. So that was real exciting. I just want to say thank you to everyone who has supported the Food Truck Friday during that time, and also those who come out to the concerts in Sheffield Park. Those have been wonderful for our Thursday evenings, and so thank you to all of you who supported that. Government Week was I think a very good week. Certainly we didn't have as much participation as maybe we had hoped, but some participation is better than no participation. I think we had good engagement with our citizens, and so on Monday I was able to participate with the city manager in a conversation with our residents here. We were here in the senior center. So before we ended, we had about 25 residents that were able to come in and ask their different questions and give their different suggestions as well. Followed that with a meeting with the mayors. When I first became mayor, talked with city manager, and she mentioned that they have a city managers meeting with the Bay County Chamber of Commerce. And so I said, hey, I want one of those for the mayors. And so I asked her to talk to Ms. Carol Roberts there at the Bay Chamber of Commerce. And so the mayors throughout Bay County are going to meet on a quarterly basis to discuss the various issues and highlights that we have in our community. And so that was a good first session for us. Also had a chance to go to Mosley. They had Kevin Atlas. He was in town, and he came to speak to Mosley High School. And so he's this 7-foot, one-armed giant is how he describes himself. He was the first Division I basketball player in college to play with one arm. And so he had a chance to come and speak to the students. Had about an hour there listening to him speak, and he captivated them and kept their attention there in the gymnasium. And afterwards, he stayed and spoke with the leadership team there at Mosley as well. I'm part of a men's leadership group at Mosley where I get a chance to go and speak about once a month to about 15 or 20 boys at Mosley High School. And so he met with all of us afterwards to try to instill some leadership values with that. And afterwards, I was able to meet with the SGA as we're trying to kick off our Mayor's Youth Council. So I was able to meet with them and to share with them the idea that we're having, and also received approval from Principal Brian Bullock for allowing his students to be able to participate with excused absences in the Mayor's Youth Council. And then had a chance to go over to the story time. I had a chance to be president for the day when I went over to North Bay Haven Elementary School. As we were talking about, the mayor and talking about government. So it was my role to share with kindergartners, what does it mean to be the mayor? I didn't think they could relate to what it meant to be the mayor, so I told them I was the president of Lynn Haven. And so they all got what that meant because they know who the president is of the United States. And so they had a chance to be able to relate to what it means to be the mayor, is that you're the president of Lynn Haven. And afterwards, also had a chance to go over with some staff to Lynn Haven Elementary School and meet and greet some of their students during lunchtime, and came back and just asked city manager if that's something that she would consider allowing staff to do periodically, just to go over and hang out with their kids during lunch. And we were real popular. Elvis was there, and so I got a chance to go around and meet the kids, and we talked about Pokemon and FGT, and so thankfully I have a 9-year-old, so I can keep up with some of the stuff that they were talking about. And the most popular thing was my business card. They all wanted my business card. I mean, it was like, because one said, "Are you really the mayor?" I was like, "Yeah, I have a card. It says I'm the mayor." And so then everybody else clamored around me and wanted to. I ran out of business cards that day, so I have to take some back to Ms. Sewell. But one of the things I really enjoyed about speaking to the children, and our staff did a great job, especially my officers, as they talked with the children about safety, is that we also had a chance to support what our teachers are doing in the classroom. And so I really love that, because we could talk about, following directions, respecting your teacher. Because one person asked me and said, does the president of the United States have a harder job, or does our teacher have a harder job? And so I said, well, when you're not obeying the rules, the teacher has a harder job than the president does. And so it was just really fun to be able to reinforce those things during government week. So those are some of the things that we've been able to do. Of course, is trying to follow up with various citizens and solve the different issues that they might bring to us, and just continue to try to make Glen Haven a better place for all of us to live. So that is my report. Commissioner Aldridge.
Thank you, Mayor. We did get to push the fire truck in. That was an awesome event to see. I showed up late. I thought it was supposed to be 10:30, so all the cool stuff was over by the time I got there. But I still got to see our new truck, and I think it's a beautiful piece of equipment, and the entire city of Glen Haven should be so proud to be able to display that truck that we were able to bring in. We did get to go to the Mosley game. It was a great time. If you haven't been to see Mosley play, they're an awesome football team. Go check them out. I think they're #1 in the state right now, actually, for 1-6A ball. So they have a great team, and it's, you know, it's kind of nostalgic to go back to a football game and smell the smells and hear the sounds. It's timeless. It don't matter whether you're in 1960 or whether you're in 2021. It's pretty much the same vibe. So I encourage everyone to go out. The only other thing I have is my phone has died on me. So if you've tried to call me here recently and haven't been able to get me, I'm getting that sorted out. So please email me, because I'm still getting my emails if you have a question or a comment about anything. And that's my report, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Parno.
Thank you, Mayor. I did participate in just about everything you said with everybody, and it was great. And I also went to the second round of the Rotary Club doing the early act at Glen Haven Elementary, and it was a joy to see the 3rd through 5th graders working on leadership skills and doing things for us, you know, to have an impact in our community. Which at our pre-commission meeting, I sat afterwards and talked to the mayor extensively about the youth program and how that could fit in, just as you mentioned, and I thought it's a great fit. So I look forward to us being present, maybe having a presence or a meeting at Mosley High School, like we talked about in our city week discussion with commissioners. And I thought that was great too, that we were all together in a roundtable discussion with folks. And so with that, as I usually do at all my meetings, I'd like to thank all our first responders and all our city employees for what they do, and thank all the people who care enough to be here. So that's my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Ward.
I had the opportunity to go visit some of our industrial manufacturing businesses. I got to go visit Merrick, ACMT, and Jensen. And the reason I did that was because I feel those businesses are really important, because they bring in a lot of net revenue to the city. And I thought it was important to educate myself on what they do and just create that relationship with them. And I got to learn a lot of neat things that they do. You know, for instance, Merrick, they build, this is just one of the many things that they do, but they build equipment for assembly lines. And it's not just any typical one. Usually it's something that has to be custom made, and they may only make 1 or 2 of them. So it's a very unique market. It's a competitive market. And they do other things, like they got circuit boards, and they solder all that stuff on there, and they program them and make modules and all kinds of cool stuff. And ACMT, they're not full up and running yet, but they got a lot of the stuff in, and they should be full up and running in the near future. But they make a lot of your metal fabrication parts for helicopters. You know, for instance, the helicopter blades, there's like a titanium piece that goes on the leading edge of it. They make that there, or they're going to be making that there. And Jensen, they make industrial washing and dryer machines. When I mean industrial, I don't mean like a laundromat. I'm talking ones that takes like tons of clothes and washes them within a matter of minutes. I mean, they're huge pieces of equipment. So, and we got 3 more of them that I'm going to visit, and it was a great experience. So, Also, like Commissioner Perno had mentioned last week, we had the, on Wednesday, Meet the Commissioner meeting for residents to come see us. We had, I believe it was 3 residents that showed up, but we did get on some good conversations. And one of the conversations that I know we had discussed was community involvement. I don't know if there's anything we can do to influence. I hope there is, and if any residents out there have any feedback, I want to get more residents involved with the community. That's not to say that people are not getting involved in the community, but I'd just like to see more of it. It's one of the things I struggle with and I like to help with. So, and that's pretty much all I have.
Yeah. Thank you. And I guess in regards to community involvement, I thought about that. We've talked about that a few times. And I think what we're seeing is that people are engaging where they want to engage. So, for example, those that are here tonight, this is where they want to get involved in their community, so they're here. But we've been to the ball games, we've been to the concert series, the 4th of July event. So, and I'm sure when we have our trunk or treat event coming up, we're going to see a lot of community involvement there. So I think we're seeing where people want to involve themselves in the community. Now, not that we're not concerned about involvement at this level, but certainly if we were to have a public event and people weren't coming to that, then I would really say, hey, we're hard pressed for community involvement. So,
I guess maybe I should be more specific, but yeah, you're right. There's a lot of events that we have, and there is a lot of community involvement in those. I guess more I was talking, with city government, I guess is what I was getting at. And, like for instance, I had my meet the time with the commissioner thing this past Saturday. I had one person showed up, and I was hoping to have more people to show up because I want to listen to all the concerns and, listen to all the problems that we have and hopefully be part of the solution for some things. And I've had ones that I've had 8 people show up and we've solved some problems and that, but I guess it's stuff like that I guess I'm getting at, But as far as like activities, I think we got a lot of community involvement. So
yeah, and I think some people they're saying they elect us to handle all the city business, and so in some extent, they're trusting us to lead well, or they wouldn't have voted for us. And so, but I definitely understand your sentiments for sure, and it's hard to compete with Saturday football. So, Commissioner Tender.
Thank you. Well, I attended the Meet the Commissioners gathering last week also, and it was very interesting. Dunkin' Donuts, I enjoyed more than one, and we had 3 residents there, and they had great questions. Jody was one, of course, and we always have to be prepared for hers, but it was good. I'd like to see it much larger. It was very casual, and I'm all about that, so we told jokes and, we had a good time, but we also discussed the things that were going on, flooding, of course, and all the usual stuff. But I enjoyed it immensely. I think it's something that if people got into and came more often, they would enjoy. I received a few phone calls from residents. Dear Mrs. Mobley, if you're watching, I just adore you. Miss Mobley lives over on Alabama Avenue, and she calls me just to chat and to get an update, as she says, give me the updates. So we sat on the phone probably 45 minutes, and I really enjoy that, and I enjoy dealing with the residents and interacting with them. I really appreciate, she might have left, the lady that spoke about fire hydrants. There's a family that lives down on 18th Street, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, and they want to build a couple of apartment buildings right next to Doc's Tires in that big empty lot. But they can't even begin without fire hydrants. There are none there either. The closest fire hydrant to 18th Street is Tyndall Credit Union, and their insurance company won't accept that. I mean, it's just too far away. So I think that's something that we really need to look into. I know I've talked to Chief DeLonge just very briefly about it, but we've not gotten into the costs or anything that are involved, but I think that's a real issue. Those poor folks down there on 18th Street, they get flooded out every time it rains, and we can't assure them that we could protect them of a fire, you know, so it's 6 of one and half a dozen of the other. I have a few questions about the budget, but we'll get to that when Kiki comes up. I passed one of these out to all of the commissioners and to the city manager. Mr. Jack Cutchins is a historian here in Lynn Haven, and he's a heck of a writer too, and I think that's with his wife's help. But heck of a writer, and he did us a synopsis and a background in the history about Kinsall Park, Porter Park, Kane Griffin, and I've read them all. I've read about all of them a few times. It's very, very interesting. And as we did a plaque for Kane Griffin, I'd love to see us do that about all the parks. I think it's a great honor to the families, and I'd just like to look into that. So I asked him about this, if he would look into it, and he got it back to me in no time. And he's even got in-depth report about Kane Griffin. That's very interesting. There used to be a grade school there. March Green donated that property, and when the schools first started out, I believe it was for all black children, and it was a grade school. And Mr. Green, March Green, he ran the electric from his home on Colorado Avenue to that school for a long time because Gulf Power wouldn't put in power lights in that school. But anyway, I thought it was all very interesting, and I think that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Before we do the city manager's report, there's a couple of things I forgot to cover in my report in response to some questions that were asked during the public commentary, some comments that were made with the public commentary. So in regards to the reimbursement, I did meet with Ms. Janet Walker. I think she's here. Ms. Janice Walker to talk about those reimbursements. And so, yes, I did give myself a loan for $900, but I also used my personal debit card, and my wife also used my personal debit card to make several purchases for the campaign. And so, therefore, we're able to reimburse ourselves. And with my reimbursements, or with all of my transactions, I actually go down to the elections office, supervisor of elections office, actually whenever I do all my inputs and reimbursements. So as I was putting these things in, they approved those things. Also, in regards to photos taken, I didn't know, like, my dad asked me about the paparazzi the other day, like, you know, do I have the paparazzi following me around? So I did have lunch, I forgot what day it was, at Alice by the Bay. I go there probably about once a week or something like that, especially on Thursdays for their Thursday Blue Plate special. My wife likes that. But on that day, I did go with Arthur Cullen, Griff Griffiths, and Chuck Perdue. And I think I saw another picture that was circulating maybe by Bernie Thompson that we were there talking about stormwater or something like that. However, that was not the case. I can tell you that Chuck Perdue, our Bay County tax collector, he was actually talking about how he runs 6 miles every day. So I thought that was pretty funny. Griff Griffiths, his wife was in New York with his daughter spending all his money. So we're talking about how his credit card was going up. I was trying to decide what I was going to eat and was actually giving them an update on my project truck. I have a 1992 F-150 that I purchased for my son and I to work on. And so they always ask me for an update on that and pictures and how are we doing. So I told them about all the stuff that we were doing to that. And Arthur was doing what Arthur normally does, which is talk about his mom and his brother. I think his birthday was coming up at that time. And so, but we did see Mayor Margot Anderson there. Got a chance to speak to her and her husband. And based on the angle of the picture that I've seen, I think that's the person who actually took the picture and started circulating it, was our former Mayor Margot Anderson. So, so that's how that picture thing goes. Also, on November 2nd, there will be a town hall with the mayor here in the Senior Center at 5 p.m. So November 2nd, at 5 p.m. there will be a town hall in here, Senior Center, with the mayor. So we invite the community out to that, so we can get some different community ideas. Hopefully, as Commissioner Ward mentioned about community engagement, get some ideas on how to get the community more engaged with city government if that's something that people desire to do. And that's all of my reports and my announcements. City Manager, do you have a report?
Yes. First, I'll ask Kiki Roman to come and give a report, and I know Commissioner Tender has some questions, right? Yes.
Good evening. Good evening.
Are you ready for questions?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I don't know that you can actually answer a lot of these. The last report that came out, I did request probably about 15 to 20. I don't remember. It was a lot. And many of these checks that were requested, I was just curious about a couple of them. The one that I'm really curious to hear about is the $29,000 for a food truck that the police department is purchasing.
Yes.
Do you know?
It's a trailer. I'm not exactly sure what chief has planned for it. He's actually probably better equipped to answer that question than I am.
Okay. And then...
Can I just interject directly?
Oh, sure, if you know.
That is part of that grant that we got, the $104,000 for COVID. And so that is an emergency trailer. So if we ever have any type of disaster again, we're able to cook out of that instead of, as you know, after Hurricane Michael, we were all trying to grill 5 grills at one time to feed our emergency responders and so on. So that was a $104,000 grant. That was $29,000, and we got that money from that.
Okay, thank you. And then there was one for, and I think I know the answer to this. It was for $5,000, and I think this went through the CRA. I just want a clarification on it. For to Red Door remodeling for $5,000.
That is a CRA expenditure, and
Is it
you
one of
approved
the? Was it one of the homes that we give them $5,000 for building new, or these are old properties, aren't
No,
they?
they're old properties, and I assume it has something to do rehab. I did send you the support for it. Do you have
gave,
it?
yeah, I got the sheet
Okay.
on it, yeah. Well, that's interesting.
And I can refresh my memory later and get back to you on
Yeah.
that, but I did send you the support on all these things, so, yeah.
That's fine. And then the other one I had that I just jumped out at me, Diamond Landscaping. Have we hired a new landscaping company just for the ballpark? Or are we not using the same one that we hired just recently?
No, Diamond does different work for us. We
Okay.
have several landscapes. The Lawnscapes is the company that's doing the Lynn Haven Park and Preserve.
Okay.
Diamond, I believe, is doing work for Ty. Yes?
Yeah, it said,
Community
it said
service.
ballpark. I was just curious if that's that's all they're doing?
Yes.
And then the landscaping company, which I can't remember the name of it.
They do the cemeteries.
And what's the name of that company again?
Gosh, you-
Yeah, you don't remember either.
I think it's Diamond. I think you're right. I think it's
Okay.
Diamond.
And they're just doing cemeteries and,
Yes, that's the contract that you guys approved. I think it was for $52,000 for the cemeteries for the entire years.
for the year. That's all the questions I have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anything else? Thank you.
Thank you, Kiki, and thank you, Commissioner Tender. Just a couple of things. I think most of the things we've already covered. City Government Week was absolutely wonderful. Of course, on Friday we were in session, so many of us could not go out and read and be with the students. But one of the great things was that many of our other staff members got to go out and experience that. And absolutely, they were just amazed and excited about some of the comments and things they got to interact with the students at the school. If you look around, there are some really great drawings from Lynn Haven Elementary about what they like about the city. And I thought some of them were pretty cool. If you get a chance, you definitely want to look at them. And I just want to say thanks to the schools that participated and allowed us to come in and spend some time with them. We did receive notice that our debt for $5 million has been canceled. If you remember, that was part of the debt review committee recommendation to make sure that we had everything in place so that debt could be canceled, and that has been canceled. So we're very, very happy about that altogether. Let's see, the sports rebuild, the building part, we're going to be signing a notice to proceed, and construction will start on that in terms of the demolition very, very soon. one thing I think you all will be happy with is the Publix Bridge. Thank you, Public Works and Chris Lightfoot and Bobby Baker for getting on that project. That project is finished. The bridge itself is finished, but we put some tape around it, caution tape, so that people won't walk through there yet because we still have to pour the sidewalk. We're asking that you not remove the caution tape to walk by. I know it's very tempting, but it's also pretty dangerous until it is absolutely finished. It's one of these great things that I know citizens have been waiting for a very, very long time. And just give us just a few more weeks, and then you'll be able to access, and it'll be great. Thank Ty Ferris and his group for doing tree giveaway this past Friday. Our goal is to probably give away about 1,000 trees to residents by the end of January 22. We've got to replant some trees within this area, and we're sure working hard to do that. Auditors will be here soon, and we will be very busy working with them. Our first Music by the Bay will be November the 5th. If you remember, we had that scheduled in 2019, and we had to cancel 2020. We had COVID, and so this year is coming back, 2021, Music by the Bay. People will be able to actually drive their boats up and maybe listen to some music in their boats. So we invite you to come out on November 5th. I think it begins at 5:30. Also, Winter Wonderland is November 20th. You remember we have that every year in Sheffield Park. We have dozens of vendors that come through. You can get ready for it. Christmas very early. Come out and do some shopping with those local vendors that are out there. I encourage you to come out and see what they have. And I think I did mention mention to some commissioners about, we have been working on a updated 4-year water and sewer plan that we will be bringing to the commission for approval very soon. There are some things that we need to tweak in there, and hopefully we will be bringing that to you maybe in November. If we're not finished with it, then surely in December. We're still working on the ordinance, the 100-year rain event. We'll be bringing that to you as well. And just a reminder, Table Talk is tomorrow at 5 p.m., not on Thursday. There are lots of proms and meetings that were going on, plus we have our concert in the park. And if you haven't been to one of our concerts in the park, you should. They've been really great, and the residents are very much enjoying them. So Table Talk is tomorrow at 5 p.m., and we invite you all to come out. And that is my report.
Thank you.
Excuse me, one other thing I always like to let you know when I'm writing a check to Tetra Tech. These are invoices. Matter of fact, these are invoices for 2 months, and it includes HMGP and all of the money that we receive. We receive right now a total of almost $27 million, and that is with me working very closely with Tetra Tech from FEMA. We still have a ways to go. You'll probably see something before you in November to extend their contract so that we can get all of our reimbursement and close out these accounts. So I wanted to let you know that.
Thank you. City Attorney? Now we're on to our consent agenda. Is everyone okay with what's on the consent agenda?
I'm sorry, I wanted to ask Kevin a question. Were you going to bring ordinance 117 in front of us in November?
Yes, I know we discussed it at the last meeting, and that's still the plan. It's going to go to the planning board on the 2nd.
Okay.
And then it'll come back.
Okay, thank you.
That's still on schedule.
Okay.
All right, consent agenda. Is everyone okay with everything on the consent agenda? All right,
So moved.
All right, it's been motion. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, City Manager, if you'll call the vote.
Commissioner Aldridge,
Yes.
Commissioner Parno,
Yes.
Commissioner Ward,
Yes.
Commissioner Tender,
Yes.
Mayor Nelson.
Yes. Motion passed. New business. Moving on to item number 10. First reading of ordinance number 1120, amending provisions of Chapter 46 of the Code of Ordinances relating to peddlers and solicitors.
Ordinance number 1120, an ordinance of the City of Lynn Haven, Florida, amending Chapter 46, peddlers and solicitors of the City of Lynn Haven Code of Ordinances, amending definitions, amending permit requirements, amending times for peddling and soliciting, providing for civil and criminal enforcement, repealing provisions of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing codification, and reciting an effective date.
All right, City Attorney.
Yes, and I know we discussed this Friday at the workshop. This was generated by some feedback from citizens and from the police department. Staff recommended certain revisions to our peddler and solicitor regulations that are already in our ordinances. A few of the things, it broadens the definition of peddler or solicitor to include, requesting appointments or setting appointments, so it's not just straight, selling goods. The one other thing, the main thing really that generated it was changing the times, the hours of operation for peddling and soliciting. It used to be you could not do it from 9 p.m. until 9 a.m. So the 9 p.m. was the cutoff. So we're lowering that to 7 p.m. or sunset, whichever comes earlier, and adding state and federal holidays in addition. It's already exempt on Sundays, but adding state and federal holidays to the restricted hours. We did add some language about requiring to have your permit on display at all times, not just when you're asked. And like the city manager said, adding some enforcement mechanisms in there, both civil and criminal. I know one of the things we talked about at the workshop was adding some sort of an exemption for political. I did look and found I think some good language that's not so broad where political can kind of be anything. So my recommendation would be under the exemptions, just add a new number 5 that exempts fundraising or campaigning by political candidates or political organizations that are solicited in accordance with state, federal, and local election laws. So I know we've had first reading, but I would just ask for a motion to make that amendment, and then we'll get it advertised for second reading. But I think that's a little bit cleaner and more along the lines of what we talked about as far as an additional exemption.
In regards to the time, have we considered making that from like 9 to 6 in regards to the time? Because that still provides at least
I think it came from the chief, and I think it was 7 p.m. or sundown. I mean, I think there's a lot of times where it's still light outside at 7. And
I think it came from a resident.
Okay.
That was something that they.
That's true. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Totally. I mean, it's totally up to you guys. I mean, I think 7 p.m. With the amount of daylight we have here, it's probably still pretty reasonable. But totally up to you.
7 p.m. I think like right now, obviously it's dark out.
Well, but if sunset is when it would cut off, if it's whichever's early.
So it's either one.
Right.
Okay.
So then, because I think you could run into the situation where it's still daylight at 7.
Right.
Still cut you off at 7.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm just going to say I'm glad we're doing this. I know there's been a huge response on this. There's a lot of residents that want some more bite to this because a lot of the door-to-door that's going on. But I just wanted to read one thing I got from Ryan Scray. He just wanted to say kudos to the city manager, the city attorney, and the entire commission for their prompt action and respond to the issue that's affecting our quality of life in Lynn Haven. And he hopes that this change will be a positive result for those affected by the nuisance of non-permitted and aggressive salespeople and for those who choose to solicit by providing a clear set of rules that must be followed, making them more productive. So I think that's what this does. So I'm happy with it.
All right. Anyone else? City attorney needs a motion in order to add line item.
Yeah, I would
5.
ask for, just a motion to add the political exemption as I described it.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion from the public? No. City Manager, you call the vote.
Commissioner Ward,
Yes.
Commissioner Perno,
Yes.
Commissioner Aldridge,
Yes.
Commissioner Tender,
Yes.
Mayor Nelson.
Yes. Motion passed. And again, this is the first reading, so it'll come back to us again. Agenda item number 11, discussion and possible approval of RFQ number 20/21-05 to award contracts up to 3 of the highest scored transportation planning and engineering consultant service firms.
Good evening. The City Commission had requested that the City obtain contracts with transportation planning and engineering firms that could assist in determining the City's needs regarding transportation concurrency, traffic congestion, and school circulation issues. The City solicited responses to a request for qualifications from transportation planning and engineering consultant services companies able to perform the following functions for the City under an ongoing services contract as and when needed. And I had listed for you the various services there. The City received 4 RFQ submittals, which were reviewed and graded by staff, the results of which are hereby brought to the City Commission for determination on which firms they would like to negotiate ongoing services contracts with. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Planning Director?
Oh, no, I was just going to say, at the pre-commission meeting, I had asked about if I could see the application responses. Can you just send it to me in email or something like that? And I think when they heard that, I think they were all laughing on the inside when I asked for that.
We were glad to give them to you.
And I know some of the people, Amanda Richards, Bobby Baker, and Chris Lightfoot, they kind of explained, because I read the grading criteria, and when they first showed it to me, I was overwhelmed with information. I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know what I'm looking at. And they broke it down for me and kind of showed me, the scope of work from the RFQ that went out, and after talking with them, I feel really confident with the grading that was done on this. So.
All right. Any other questions for the Planning Director?
It's not a question because we did talk about it last Friday, but I just wanted to say, you have a ball under your table, a pink ball. Anyway, I'm sidetracked. I think this is such a great idea, number one, and I want the public to understand that all we're doing is securing 3 different firms so that we can use them, and so that when something comes up like did at Mill Bayou and at the school, if we would have had a traffic engineer at our disposal then, we could have had them out and things would have run a lot smoother. So I'm excited about having 3 different options when the time comes and we've got things backed up.
Yeah.
Any additional questions? Any other discussion from the commission about this? Any other concerns? Is there a motion for this?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion from the public?
Janet Walker, 1106 Michigan Avenue. It says up to 3. Are we using one at a time? I haven't been at meetings recently, so I'm not up to date on all of what's been discussed. So when Commissioner Tender mentioned that Mill Bayou problem we had, would we bring one of the 3 who's available that night to speak? We're not bringing all 3.
That's correct.
One at a time.
Yes,
and they are 3 different companies?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Any additional public commentary? City Manager, if you'll call the vote.
Commissioner Aldridge,
Yes.
Commissioner Ward,
Yes.
Commissioner Tender,
Yes.
Commissioner Perno,
Yes.
Mayor Nelson.
Yes. Motion passed. Agenda item number 12, discussion and possible approval to award Whole Group Incorporated the RFP number 21-22 O2 Ice Machine Services Contract for Leslie Porter Park.
Yes. So, Mayor, this was an RFP that we talked about a couple of months ago, probably last year. We know that Porter Park is used very much, a lot, with our boaters, and it's just a win-win for the residents, for the city, in the sense Whole was our only vendor. It's probably a pretty specialized area, but based on his following prices, I think it's, like I said, a win-win. He would sell a bag of ice at $2.25, and 1 gallon of purified water at 50 cents a gallon, and then the city will receive 15% of the gross sales.
All right, thank you. Any questions from the commission? Any discussion about this? If not, is there a motion for it?
So moved.
Second. Sorry, I'm Ms. Walker back there.
All right, public commentary? Yes.
Is there a specific place this is going to be put down at the park?
Yes, ma'am, it is.
Yes.
I didn't hear your question. What is,
It's
oh,
gonna
I
be-
see.
It's a specific place, yes, ma'am. It will be put
Is,
right
is,
there.
is it near the restrooms? Is it near
It
the?
is definitely near the restrooms.
It'll be near the restrooms, across
Okay.
from the landing.
Yes. Concrete will be put there to make sure it sits correctly.
All right, any other additional questions from the public? If not, city manager, if you call the vote.
Commissioner Tender,
Yes.
Commissioner Aldridge,
Yes.
Commissioner Perno,
Yes.
Commissioner Ward,
Yes.
Mayor Nelson.
Yes, and we have a final announcement from city manager.
Yes, I almost forgot. Please come out on Saturday night and support the city and its annual trunk or treat. We have over 22 trunkers, along with First Baptist is going to be set up as well. We have lots of vendors that are going to be out. We are in no way changing the Halloween date, which is on Sunday. We're just having an event for our kids and people in this area. So we invite you to come out. It starts at 5:30, and contest. If you want to sign up for costume contest, be here at 4:30 to sign up for your costume contest, which will be ran by the Rotary Club here in Lynn Haven. And then 5 o'clock, we will begin the costume contest. We hope to see you on Saturday.
Thank you. Meeting adjourned.